congressional debate today made me really proud for the first time in a long time about the conduct of the Congress. It was absolutely riveting. It was splendid. It was America at its best. However, at the end of the day, it will be business as usual because most likely very few Congress people will shift their positions, but it will have an impact on the American people, God willing, whether you believe in him or not. Um, so the side that was focusing on the illegality of Obama's actions and the danger that presents to our union in ceding its powers more and more to the executive branch, to the presidency, where the war power is vested in Congress. It's not vested in the presidency, and we've had two violations of the law so far. The first was that Congress did not authorize the action in Libya, and then second, after 60 days, we have the War Powers Act. So the side that was arguing that we needed to censure the president and end this war until Congress declares war, focused strictly really on the constitutional issues. They addressed most of the other issues, but it was really focused on the Constitution because it's not about Gaddafi. It's about the United States Constitution. And if we can't defend democracy here, how can we bomb people into democracy other places, however you want to put it? So on the other side, though, they did, of course, having no legal and leg to stand on, they didn't even try. They essentially said, let's cut the president some slack and give him some time because it's very important to continue this because it's going to protect civilians. And they went through a number of arguments. They are concerned that extremists will exploit the situation. So the problem with that is the NATO bombardment of Libya is carrying on past its defined role by everybody's calculations. There's large amounts of bombing going on now, and the Gaddafi government has not been engaged by the West in peace talks. Of course, Gaddafi talked to the African Union and so forth, but there's been no real serious attempt to meet with him and to create a ceasefire. So at this point, the bombing doesn't serve any purpose. It means that the rebels have no incentive to either fight or negotiate, so we don't know what their strength is. And they are essentially allowing NATO to destroy the country. And why shouldn't they? They're in Cyrenaica, the bombardment's occurring in Tripolitania, and they stand to gain everything, so they can afford to lose a few $1 billion in infrastructure. But if you're concerned about a breeding ground from extremists, you've got two problems. The first problem is the destruction of the infrastructure leads to chaos and leads to a situation where the standards of living drop, and crime will spread. So by not engaging Gaddafi in peace talks, we are actually aggravating extremism, number one. Number two, I am outraged, and I'm an American. Now imagine what people in the Middle East are thinking on the street, because it's one thing to dislike the Gaddafi regime, and it's another thing to bomb it when it's already on its knees and clearly could be engaged in peace talks. Now those peace talks might fail, but what have you got to lose? Why are we bombing? So the extremist situation is being aggravated by this. He also describes Gaddafi having chemical weapons. Well, have we asked Gaddafi to turn them over? Number one. And number two, isn't this very reminiscent of another war you can think of? And then they address the other issues. They talked about this country being destabilizing to Egypt and Tunisia. And really, you can't just bomb countries because they're inconveniently located geographically. Then let's see here. What other arguments do they make? Well, the head of the Appropriations Committee obviously was very interested in continuing this war. And the advantage he posed was infinitely superior to his arguments because he himself was interesting in that he's the head of the Appropriations Committee, a dull man, witless. So I'd be really interested to find out just exactly how much he's benefiting in his role as a chairman of the Appropriations Committee. And I'm really, really interested to find out how much money he makes when he leaves the Congress by, uh, you know, uh, prosecuting these wars. We borrow money from China to buy weapons that then we give to countries that don't pay their own share of weapons, like France and Britain, that have better standards of living than we do at the moment. So their arguments were really weak, and they didn't look at the blowback issue. You see, the problem with this war is it's being prosecuted incorrectly, both in its conception as an illegal war. He probably could have gotten authorization from Congress if he defined its scope narrowly. And it's also a weak argument in terms of claiming that this is going to make America safer and democracy safer, because at this point it's an irritant. Thank you.